What's up, YouTube? Got a yo-yo review to do today. This is the one-drop yo-yos, Par Avion. So the Par Avion is the biggest yo-yo one drop has ever done. When I first saw it come out, I was like, that's interesting, and then I had a whole bunch of stuff happen. So this has been out for a little while, but I did actually want to get around to reviewing it because I actually do like this quite a bit, actually. But let's go ahead and get into the specs. The weight is 65.2 grams. The width is 47.25 millimeters. It weighs in, or it is, diameter is 62.5 millimeters, so it's huge. This is a huge yo-yo. One drop flow groove response pads, 4.7 millimeter gap. It is a pretty wide gap. Stainless steel one drop bearing and 6061 aluminum with a bead blast finish and a tapped 10 millimeter axle. So, Par Avion, it's huge. I have a NQP, not quite perfect. This side it's clearly like just kind of a crazy half swap. When I posted it on Instagram, I was like, I have the best half swap. Everybody was like, oh my god, it's ugly. It's ugly on purpose, guys. Come on. But I don't know. I like it because in the case, it's like it could be this color or it could be this color. I think this was why this side was not quite perfect because of this whatever's going on here. It's got that cool like horizon effect though, like it's looking over an ocean or something. Kind of cool. I dig it. And then, of course, whatever the fire dragon, whatever that color is. Very cool. A dig. Let's talk about it a little bit. So, when I first saw it, the cup, to me, very much reminded me of the Kraken. As you can see, very similar cup. Now, the shapes themselves are very different, but it's also big, like the Kraken. It doesn't play much like the Kraken. While the Kraken, I feel like, is pretty stable and long spinning, it's a lot floatier than this is. I thought this was going to be a floatier yo-yo than it is, but it plays very much more H-shaped than you would think just looking at it and looking at the cup, which is cool, actually. It's a big yo-yo, huge diameter, so you do feel a lot of that power in the rims, and it's real stable, real long spinning, and it's really fun. I've been having... I think this is a really fun yo-yo. It's not a yo-yo that's similar to anything else that I have. Like I said, the only thing that I thought was like maybe kind of close-ish would have been this, but it really doesn't play anything like the Kraken at all. The blast finish is very nice. It feels very good on the grinds, even in its Pennsylvania, and it's actually kind of swampy out. It's been raining like real hard. It's actually pretty swampy here, and even now, the grinds are good. As swampy and gross as it is outside. But let's go ahead and throw this bad boy around a little bit. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All right. White yo-yo, or white string, white shirt. Yeah, I did that. It's okay. This thing is huge, super easy to catch. Get a lot of power out of it, so it does spin for a good long time. The response is nice. One drop, I feel like they've been doing kind of wider gaps lately, and truthfully, I feel like that's kind of made the yo-yos play a little better because with the flat bearings and everything. And somebody had mentioned something in the comments a while back about how, groove bearings would sort of artificially narrow a gap. And so a wider gap with flat bearings, you really get a lot of good wraps out of everything. And not snaggy at all. And that's real nice, especially when you're just sort of playing for fun. Clearly not really a competition-driven yo-yo, but I don't think it performs bad at all. It's actually a really good performer, so I mean, you could compete with it. Maybe it wouldn't be ideal, but I don't think it would hinder you. Grinds are nice, even in this muggy weather. My hands are so sticky right now. The grinds are very nice on this. I like the bead blast that One Drop's been using lately. I feel like it works well. Thumb grinds are doable. No like lip to really get your thumb in there or like really snag it up, but definitely doable. You got enough room in there to get in there. Finger spins as well. Nice big open cup, although kind of harder to do without anything to sort of lock you in. So maybe not the best finger spin yo-yo, but everything else, very cool. And the size is fun because it's not a particularly heavy yo-yo. And it's got a little bit of power. It's just, I don't know, it's a fun size. I like it. Wraps are good. A lot of room in the gap there to get your wraps in to do whatever. And a lot of spin to just complete whatever tricks you're trying to complete. Once you do that. But yeah, let's go ahead and take this bad boy apart, and I'll show you guys what the insides look like. Alright, let's take it apart. As per usual, magnificently machined by One Drop. Precision to the nth degree. Even on the B grades or whatever, the NQPs. Precision. One Drop flat bearing works for me. I like it. The synthetic axle there, 10mm. Let's check out what the finer specs are here. As you can see, there's the flow groove response. Kind of rounds over right before it gets there. Nice attention to detail, nice blast finish. You can see there's sort of a step. It really does perform very well. It's a very good performing yo-yo. And the size of it makes it fun and unique. And I'm somebody that kind of I like all the One Drop yo-yos. I like to have all of them. And I particularly like that there aren't a lot of One Drops that are sort of like other One Drops. You know what I mean? Like, they reissue stuff sometimes, and I don't really necessarily bother with reissues or like stuff like that, but whenever they've got a new yo-yo out that I don't have, that's really sort of, for me, something I want to get. And I feel like this year they've really done a lot of just new different yo-yos that were unlike One Drops that I had already had. So this fits into that category nicely. So let's do pros and cons. Pros. Big, different. Nice grind finish. Great looking splashes. Pay no attention to the fact that I have two different splashes. But, you know, One Drop always does really nice splashes and anodizing, but they're solid colors as well. It's a good price sort of for everybody. This was actually released back in March, so it's been out for a little while. Blast finish is nice, response is nice, bearing is good, as long as you're into flat bearings, which I think the flat bearing really works well in this, and I think when One Drop designs a yo-yo to work well with their flat bearing, then I think that's really a good match, and I think this really has a design with the flat bearing in mind, so I'm a fan of that for sure. Thumb grind's very doable. Finger spin's not really so much. Like, there's a lot of space to work with, and there's really nowhere to like lock in. I would say, as far as that type of stuff is concerned, it's more difficult, kind of like it is on, maybe even a little more difficult than it would be on something like the Horizon. So not really a finger spin yo-yo, but that's, I mean, you don't really want to do horizontal tricks with a flat bearing necessarily. Anyway, thumb grinds are good. I mean, it's really just cool and different. And I like that One Drop does stuff like this. It's just cool and different. As far as cons are concerned, I mean, it's not going to be a yo-yo for everybody. If you like One Drops and you like, you know, the different stuff that they put out and do, I mean, that's cool. This is not a very, like, you know, it's not traditional. Put it that way. It's not a traditional yo-yo. It's kind of big, but it plays great. It feels cool and it's fun. But it's not necessarily a yo-yo that you're going to want to pick up and carry with you every day. It is definitely sort of a boutique sort of experience type of yo-yo, something that's just new and different if you have a lot of yo-yos, or, you know, you're looking for something big, something specifically like this. I would say this is great. No real cons to speak of other than that. It's just not as traditional as some other yo-yos. It's a rather large yo-yo, and it performs rather large, but it is you know, pretty fast and agile for its size. So it's really surprisingly good in that regard, but I could understand if you're like not necessarily into huge diameters or something like that, because it is rather extreme in size. So that's really my only, it's not really even a con. That's really the only sort of like, you know, if you think it's going to be, it's more extreme than the Kraken. I'll put it that way. When the Kraken was pretty big, it's more extreme than that, but I like that. I think that's a really cool thing. For me, it's a cool thing to have in my collection, for me to have and throw around and be able to play. But, you know, to each his own, I suppose. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. This is the Par Avion by One Drop. Definitely check it out. It's really cool. It's really different. And it's kind of huge, but really fun. So there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers to you. Coffee. Cheers to you. I'll see you next time.